Lesson 8.1, Adding and Subtracting Polynomials. Our essential question is, how do you add and subtract polynomials? For our first problem, it says find each sum. 7y squared plus 2y minus 3 plus 2 minus 4y plus 5y squared. Notice in blue it says identify like terms, and then in red it says combine them by adding or subtracting. When you're working with polynomials, you can only add or subtract terms that are like terms. Remember what we said earlier in this course. We said like terms have the exact same variable part. So that means not just the letters, but the exponents on those letters have to be the same in order to be like terms. So I'm going to use different colors to identify my like terms. 7y squared would be a like term with 5y squared. Notice that in front of the 5y squared, I included the plus sign. 7y squared plus 5y squared would give me 12y squared. Then I can move on. Positive 2y, because it has a plus in front of it, combined with negative 4y. 2y plus negative 4y would give me negative 2y. Remember that a negative number is just like using subtraction, so you've just got to be really careful with the signs that are in front of each of your terms. And then my last one, I have negative 3, and I combine that with positive 2. Negative 3 plus 2 is negative 1. Now, to write my final answer, I'm just going to take these terms in order from the highest degree, so 12y squared minus 2y minus 1. That would be my simplified answer. Your answers when you're adding and subtracting polynomials, they're typically not really nice numbers. Usually you still have quite a few terms. So I added together two trinomials and I still ended up with a trinomial. You don't always end up with the same size as each of the terms that you're adding, but sometimes you do. Okay, my next one, just going to do the same thing. I'm going to identify my like terms. So you may notice that the order on these is not the same. So I've got 4x squared, and then the middle term over here is its like term. So 4x squared minus 7x squared is negative 3x squared. My next set, negative 2x plus 3x is just 1x. And then last, 7, positive 7 and negative 9. Positive 7 combined with negative 9 is negative 2. So now my answer in standard form, so that means from the highest exponent term down to the lowest, would be negative 3x squared plus x minus 2. When you're adding, you can add, like I am here, I'm adding horizontally, or you can add vertically, kind of like how the terms are written over here. You can add them vertically. If you want to do the vertical method, you've got to rearrange your terms so that they are underneath their like terms. So that's why I don't usually use that method, because they're not always written in the same order. So you'd have to do some rearranging and be careful with your signs with that method. Okay, now subtracting. Subtracting polynomials is kind of tricky. What I am going to do is I am going to change this to addition, and I am going to add the opposite. Add the opposite. So if I make this a plus, this will be a negative, this will be a positive, and this will be a negative. And now I can do what I was doing on the addition problems, starting with the highest exponent on my variable. So this is the highest degree term. So now I'm adding negative 9y to the fourth. I could write that as a minus 9y to the fourth. Either way is fine. So this is negative 1y to the fourth, if I combine those together. Then my next highest term is going to be this one. And here's its like term. So 6y to the second plus negative 2y to the second. So that would be 4y to the second. And then last, negative 5y plus 7y. And that would be positive 2y. So now putting this one together, I have negative 1, or negative y to the fourth, plus 4y squared, plus 2y. So at the beginning, again, what I did was, I knew that subtraction was the same as adding the opposite. So I changed that subtraction sign because you're subtracting the entire polynomial, not just the first term. So that's the significance of the parentheses there. It's kind of like distributing with a negative 1. You could think of it that way. If you distribute a negative 1 times all 3 of the terms over here, it changes their signs. So I did that, and then I just followed the rules for addition. Okay, I'll do that again on this problem. So I'm going to make this a plus, and then I'm going to change the signs on all of these terms. Okay, so first up on this one, I have 11n to the third. 11n to the third has no like terms, so I'm done with that one. Then I'm going to move to 6n squared. It has a like term over here, so plus negative 5n squared. That would be positive 1, or just n squared. Then my next one, 2n plus negative 4n is negative 2n. And last but not least, notice this one, all by itself, a positive 3. So this is the first problem that we've seen terms that didn't have any like terms. Remember, if a term does not have a like term, it doesn't go away. So you still need to include it in your answer. So our answer is 11n to the third power plus n squared minus 2n plus 3. Okay, find the perimeter. This shape is a rectangle. So we are going to find the perimeter of it by adding all of the sides. So perimeter, we add all of the sides. That would be the distance around a figure. Remember, when you're adding all of the sides, it's not just the ones that have a polynomial written by them, it's all of the sides. So I have 3x plus 1/4, and there's 2 of those. And then my other 2 sides, 7x minus 1/2, there are 2 of those. Okay, so like terms would be 3x plus 3x plus 7x plus 7x. So that would give me 20x. Then my other like terms, 1/4 plus 1/4. So 1/4 plus 1/4 minus 1/2 minus 1/2. Remember, when you're working with fractions, you have to have common denominators. So I can rewrite these 1/2 as 2/4. Each of them would be 2/4. So all that I'm doing is multiplying the numerator and denominator on those by 2, so that we have common denominators. Now that I have common denominators, I can look at just the numerators. So 1 plus 1 is 2, minus 2 is 0, minus 2 would give me negative 2/4, or negative 1/2. So now my final perimeter is 20x minus 1/2 units. Remember, perimeters are just plain units. They're one-dimensional because they just measure distance. They're not two-dimensional like area or three-dimensional like volume. That's all for our lesson today. So you should be able to write a summary and then check with your teacher's homework calendar for your assignment.